How come we're uneven here? There. Okay. I don't see anybody on yet.
I wasn't sure if I was charged up or not.
Well, we've got 3 people,
Oh, 3.
but not on here yet. No one said anything yet, so we'll just wait till people get connected. Hello, whoever's out there.
Okay, where is this?
Nobody's talking yet. We'll just give people a few minutes here to get connected in. Oh, there's Catherine. Hi, Catherine. Did you find it?
Yeah.
There it is. Okay, so just wait a couple of seconds
That's making
here.
my stool go higher.
Okay. You seem like you're sitting on my lap.
Well, maybe like a ventriloquist, right?
Yeah, right. Well, you're the dummy.
Why isn't it Jeff Dunham that has Walter?
Yeah, that's right. He's an old fart. Well, must have been modeled after you. Laura's here. Hi, Laura. And Carol's here. Hi, Carol. So other people will probably be joining us as we get going here. So, what are you doing? Brushing what's little left of your hair? Walter got a haircut this week. I think they did number 1. Next week, maybe he'll get number 2 pruned.
I think she cut a little short. Anyway.
Yeah, a little short. You know.
I went to somebody else. I went to his hairdresser.
Yeah, well, I've been going to her for over 20 years, so. Anyways, okay, so other people may join us, but we'll get started. So you're probably wondering what we're drinking today. This is not a full glass of red wine, although there is red wine in it. It's sangria. And I make my own. And usually I use the most horrible red wine you can find because don't buy expensive stuff to make sangria. Get the cheapest red wine because you put fruit juice and everything in it. And so, you know, why waste a really good bottle of wine on something that's basically a punch? Julie's here. Hi, Julie. And yeah, so that's what we're drinking. And we're eating low-fat potato chips. Yeah, not. With homemade cheese dip. And I think I've talked about this cheese dip before. So it's one my mother used to make for years. And kind of like it. Have it every now and then, but it's not low-fat. Okay. My mouth is full. So, before we get into this week's topic, what's been going on? Update on my mother. She's fine. Although, she doesn't cease to amaze us with some of the comments she makes. She said, I talked to her on the phone yesterday, and I guess there's always something with my mother. I guess a couple of weeks ago, according to her, the staff took the cover off of her wheelchair back piece and off her seat to wash it. Well, the back cover came back, but the seat cover never came back. Now, if this happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, like she claims, she's never mentioned it to me until now. And so I said to her, fine, I will contact the powers that be and I'll just ask them, you know, what's going on with that. I always hesitate about doing that kind of thing because I never know whether what my mother's telling me is the absolute truth. I'm falling off my stool. Or not. But anyways, I did send a message off to the administrator there and just said that my mother claimed this, and we'll see what I get back. I don't expect an answer until Monday from them, but yeah, not a big deal. I can go out and get her another one. I don't imagine they cost that much money, but we'll see. So anyways, that was the highlight of the week with my mother.
Tell them about
What?
that she was going to walk
Oh,
downstairs.
yeah, right. So, yeah, that's what I was leading to, and I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so she says, well, I was going to walk down to the laundry room and see if they could find it, if I was down there. I said, Mom, you can't go down. She said, but the stairs are a little bit much. Yeah, because you can't walk. You're in a wheelchair. You'd have to go down by.
She hasn't walked for 2 years.
No, she'd have to go down by the elevator in her chair. Someone would have to take her the whole bit. But she comes up with this stuff, and she's not senile. But
And she
sometimes
said
I
a
wonder.
few weeks ago when she said they test the fire alarms all the time.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "Well, I don't know how they're going to get all these people out of the building if the fire alarm actually goes off." She goes, "Well, I can walk."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going, "Well, you haven't walked in over a year, so."
No. Well, the scary part, though, too, is she decided she wanted to have a little lay down, I guess, the other day in the middle of the afternoon or something. Well, she can't get into the bed by herself. They have to help her. But she managed to get into the bed by herself because she says, well, you push the button, it takes them forever to get around to it. Well, they don't like her laying around in bed. They want to keep her, in the wheelchair and get her out doing things because, it's good for her to do that. So they probably, do put it off beforehand. Well, she managed to get into bed by herself, and I guess one of the staff came and was in a little bit of shock, like, how did you do that? And probably was in shock because it would be very easy for my mother to slip, fall out of her chair when she's trying to get into the bed and stuff like that, and really do some damage to herself. And I said that to her, Mom.
Not only that, if you see her, she's got skinny legs, and I think she has some osteoporosis.
Well, she does have osteoporosis.
She probably does because people that stop walking often, their bones often become brittle because they're not being used.
She got diagnosed with osteoporosis back before she even stopped walking.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And I said that to her, Mom, if you hurt yourself, that's a serious situation. They'll put you in the hospital. And I think she has this thing in her mind. She reminisces about the 4.5 months she spent in the hospital a year ago. All she did was complain all the time she was in there. Like, yeah, she didn't get the care there that she gets where she is now. I don't know what goes through her head.
The only thing I can think of is that in the hospital, she laid in bed all day and she could ask them, and they brought the food to her.
Well, she loves to be waited on. There's no two ways about it. In fact, to the point where I've sat there when they've come in with her pills, and they have them in a little cup. They walk up to her to put it in her hand so she can take it herself. She goes, and opens her mouth. Now, some of the staff there, I have seen them, they just take her hand and put them in it, and I don't blame them. But it's like, she can raise her hands up to her face. She can feed herself her own pills. She doesn't need to be like the baby bird waiting for mama to drop the worm down their throat kind of a thing with it. I don't get it. And when I call, sometimes she doesn't pick up the phone. Like I called on Friday twice, tried to get a hold of her. And I often think, okay, well, maybe she's off gallivanting about having a good time, which I would be very happy about if it was. But I know that's not the case. The case is she can't get to the phone, she claims. The phone is right next to her. She has to raise her hand up, reach out, pick it up, and put it up to her ear. She don't want to do that at all. And she'll say, oh, yeah, I couldn't get to it. And I said to her, well, it's like 2 feet away from you. Where was it? Well, yeah, but I just couldn't, like it's... And then she just lets it go at that. So basically, she doesn't want to do anything for herself at all. And this is not something new. This has been going on forever. So I just...
So maybe that's also why, how she says your brother doesn't call?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe he does call. And
she doesn't answer it.
Doesn't answer it.
I don't know. Whatever. Well, it's her life, and so be it. So she's still breathing, so moving on. And who's on here? Hi, Chris. Hi, Virginia. Hi, Jules. So, I think I got everybody so far on the list. So that's my mother. We did another long arm session this week. I finished another quilt. And I showed that on the... No, I didn't show that on the vlog. No, I haven't shown that one. That one I'll be showing tomorrow on the vlog. I have shown it in bits and pieces, but now it's completely... no, it's not completely done. I'm getting my quilts mixed up. I showed you the pineapple quilt on the vlog. what this one is my Starburst quilt, and it needs to have binding put on it yet before I can show it to you. And I made the binding today, but I didn't get around to sewing it on. I'm going to do that sometime tomorrow. So I'll be showing that quilt later on. I did put up a new Idiot Quilter because we went to a quilt shop in north end of Toronto, and we'd heard things about this, that it was supposed to be really good and they had cheap fabrics and that, and it was okay. We did buy a few things, and I've done an Idiot Quilter episode about that. I just put it up today. It's my haul from that particular fabric store. So if you're interested, check out episode 50 of the Idiot Quilter. Laura said she had to make popcorn for snack. Yeah, making you hungry, are we, Laura? So anyways, yeah, that's all that's been going on this week. What's newsworthy? Well, I'm sure everybody has heard about the big serial murders that are two teenagers, basically, on the run across Canada. Started in BC. They, for some reason, attacked a couple of tourists, an American and an Australian, a couple, and killed them. And then took off and killed some other guy in, I don't know if that was in Alberta, when they moved out, or if that was also part of BC or whatever. Last they know, they were in some little godforsaken place north of, about 1,000 kilometers north of Winnipeg in Manitoba. Manitoba, for those of you that don't know Canada's geography, is the province next door to our province, Ontario. And our provinces are massive, so like...
And where this town was, I think it's called Gillam, and where that town is, it's a population of 1,200 people, and it's way north in the wilderness.
It's almost on the shores of Hudson Bay.
Where practically nobody lives.
Yeah, and it's all forest and swamp and the whole bit. So they're the RCMP, the Army, the local police, everybody's out trying to catch these two kids. One guy, I think, is 18, the other one's 19, something like that. They've shown pictures of them. They don't look like serial killers.
Well, I know what the serial killers look like.
But you just don't, in our country, we just don't have this kind of a thing. And I'm thinking of the poor of the Australians when they get word that one of their own was here in Canada on a vacation and got murdered. The last thing people really think about is coming to Canada and getting murdered. You know, like, it's disgusting.
Actually, we don't know how they were murdered. We don't know whether it was guns or knives or what.
No. They burned their vehicle, though. And they burned the other guy's vehicle, too, this older guy that they got. So, nobody knows what. They told their parents or something they were going off someplace to look for work. So, I don't know. Chris says they were shot. Yeah, hi, Tracy. Yeah. So, I just think it's completely shocking to most Canadians. I mean, in Toronto, yes, we have murders on a regular basis there. And we have had a serial killer or two over the years like that. It's not like it's completely crime-free.
Inviting thoughts, the Australian was some high-up police officer here.
Oh, yeah? Was he? They've never said that.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really delved into the exact details of the murder, so...
Ooh. Quite frankly, he didn't look like a police officer in his picture, but then I guess, like, the guy had a beard. He looked like he was someone who was probably very much into hiking and nature and Grizzly Adams kind of a thing, if you know that reference. But either way, that doesn't really matter. The fact is, tourists usually can come to our country and feel safe. This is just ridiculous. I mean, the shootings that happen in Toronto, 9 times out of 10 of them, they are related to organized crime and gangs, that kind of thing. These are two teenagers. We still don't know their motivation. We assume they did not know these people. They met them along the roadway. In fact, I think their car or their truck had broken down or something, and they saw them there. And I guess they probably thought these guys were coming to help them. And then, I don't know, maybe it just, they tried to rob them, and it went wrong. And one thing led to another. I don't know. I really feel sorry for these people's, this couple's family, though, and the whole bit. Like, really, like, that's life-changing. Let's see. Tracy says, I did my nails all day and watched 2 YouTube woman in a flame war. Oh, okay. And Chris says, the sons of a high-up police officer. Sorry, lazy fingers. Oh, okay. So he wasn't a cop, but he was a son of a cop. So, and actually that guy looked like he was fairly burly and the whole bit. And these two kids, one looks like you could spit through him and break him in half with one hand. And the other one, kind of the same out of it all. But then again, if they had guns and the whole bit, well, never come to a gunfight with a knife. Who knows? I don't know, but it's a sad thing. And all the lawmakers, or all the law enforcement places in Canada are on high alert, and they'll get them. They will get them. But now, the father of one of them, or grandfather of one of them, I forget what it was, he kind of figures that they're going to try to go out in a blaze of glory, what they call suicide by cop kind of a thing. I don't think they'll see trial. I really don't. I think they will be, when the cops finally get them, corner them in the whole bit, they will be dead. One way or another. They'll never make it to court. Which I think that's kind of a sad thing, because really they should go to court and they should be locked away and made to suffer for the rest of their lives for doing something like this. But anyways, that's the way the justice system works, I guess. Chris says, I heard one of the fathers speak asking his son to give up. Very sad. He was in tears. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about too. And I don't know if he was the father or the grandfather, because there was something about that one kid. He wasn't raised by his parents. He was raised by his grandparents. So, and that guy that they were interviewing, he looked kind of old to be the father of an 18-year-old. I mean, could be, but I don't know. Who knows?
Second marriage.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Anyways, fun in Canada, so if you're thinking of a vacation here.
Well, don't go to Manitoba.
Yeah, don't go to Manitoba, don't go to BC. I don't know. It could happen anywhere. Thing too is, if you're traveling across Canada by car, there's only one road. It's the Trans-Canada Highway, really. Anything else you wouldn't travel on. So, and even these guys, there's only one road in and one road out to this place where they supposedly have been spotted, unless they take a river and do a river, and it's a lot of rapids and stuff, and drop into the Hudson Bay, which is like huge.
Cold.
Yeah, like Hudson Bay is bigger than Lake Ontario.
No, Hudson's Bay is huge. It's bigger than all those Great Lakes.
Oh yeah, and it's like.
But anyway, inviting thoughts to wonder what made them do it. Yeah, actually, everybody sort of wonders about why anybody would do anything like that. So,
like that's what I said. These, as far as the cop or they've been reporting, I don't think these guys have ever had a criminal record. Like I don't think they've ever been in trouble with the police before. Although the father of the one was saying that the kid was a little troubled and the whole bit. And one of the shots they had of them coming out of a convenience store in this Gillen place, that's how they know they were there, because they were on camera. Or it might have not, or maybe it was a co-op. Was it a co-op or a Home Depot?
I don't think they have a Home Depot. They have a pile of co-op stores
coming out
there.
He's all dressed in camouflage. Hello, we can still see you. So, right there, that would suggest sort of a...
not necessarily. They sell camouflage all over
true,
the place.
But he was wearing what looked like a whole military type of garb. I don't know. Maybe he thought... I mean, I don't think... They haven't really suggested this. Well, they don't know, but I don't think this was necessarily premeditated. But who knows? Maybe they're high on drugs or something. Anyways, that's the big news, and it's on everything here in our country. So there we go. Okay, so this week, theme of the week. Well, it's turning it from murder, although technology could play in this. We want to talk a little bit about technology. Is it for the better or the worse? Now,
obviously, without technology, we wouldn't be here today.
So that may be for the better or for the worse too. I don't know. But I'm thinking this idea came to my head because the other night we had an Amber Alert again. If you don't know what an Amber Alert is, basically it comes on our phones and on TV and on radio when a child or somebody's gone missing. and they're trying to find this person. So they give you a description of the person, where they were last seen, what they were last wearing, all this kind of stuff. That's great. That's fine. No problem there whatsoever with that kind of thing. The problem is that the last 3 Amber Alerts that we've received have all been at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And they come on our phones. And this is not just a little pop-up message. This has a sound. It overrides everything on your phone. It's at full volume and it goes 3 o'clock in the morning when you're asleep and this wakes you up. You think a nuclear attack is happening. So then people turn around and call 911 or the cop shop now and complain about it. Okay, yes, it is annoying. However, it is there as a way of finding these people. I just don't know why it always comes at 3 or 3:30 in the morning. That's the problem I have with it. Of course, I turned off my phone because then what they do is about a half an hour later, you get another Amber Alert. Where are these little bugs coming from?
I don't know. A little bug flying around.
We didn't get any fruit this week.
No.
I don't know. Did you leave a door open? Anyways, it's what was I saying about the Amber Alert? They call and they complain to 911 and to the cop shop, and that's using up resources there. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, and I don't understand why it has to happen at 3 in the morning. I mean, it probably has to do with by the time people report to the cops that they think somebody has gone missing or has been abducted, it's probably not during the day. They probably wait till nighttime because they think, well, maybe they'll show up, whatever, they'll find out. And so probably at around midnight, they decide, okay, this is getting too late, let's call the cops. And then the cops have to do their thing, go over, talk to the people, investigate, blah, blah, blah. And then by the time they make the determination that there should be an Amber Alert, it's probably 3 o'clock in the morning. So there you go. But that's one thing about technology. One, on the good hand, it does help.
It does help because actually the last
couple anyways.
Amber Alerts that have occurred, people have found the individuals quickly. Because I guess everybody in Ontario gets the message. But then, like, there's criticism that, like, why should we get a message in Southern Ontario when somebody goes missing in Thunder Bay?
Yeah, because
right?
Thunder Bay is 1,000 kilometers away from us.
1,000 kilometers away. What can we do in Southern Ontario? To do that sort of thing, right? So. Yeah, I think there's things that they can fine tune it, and I think they need to look at that.
Well, in the States, many of the states have this Amber Alert, and they were saying on the news that the way they handle it in many of those states is when they first send out an Amber Alert, they send it to the most immediate area around them, not across the whole state. And there's some other things that they do as well. But knowing our government in Canada, it's always a knee-jerk reaction. Yes, we're going to have Amber Alert, and this is how it's going to work, and they don't pay attention to what other people have had experience with and learn from them. I mean, if they did, they would have learned from Colorado about legalizing marijuana and the ins and outs of that, because that's all screwed up in our province now, too. So, Now, they were talking, too, about the ability to be able to opt out of Amber Alerts. Well, you can't do that on our system, but apparently in some of the states you can. So, this is when technology becomes obtrusive in your life. If there's other things that they could do and still, and use the Amber Alert system, and I think there are, then they'll probably get less complaints. Of course, I think those people that are complaining are nimrods anyways. They're using up valuable resources. Who they need to complain to is probably the province's ombudsman. I can't ever say that word.
Ombudsman.
Yeah, that's basically a liaison between government bodies and common citizens, so that they can, review these practices and make them better. But that's just one small example of how technology can be a good thing and can have negative consequences. So let's talk about telephones and cell phones. Well, cell phones with the what I was just talking about. But let's talk about all those calls you get on the telephone. How is it they get your phone number?
So it's Stephen Walter, next door is coming to Canada. What's next door?
What's next door, Tracy? I'm just looking at the other things there. It's, you know, how you get those phone solicitations. And a lot of them are now robotic calls, right? Like you get a recorded message. It's an automatic dialer. It's technology. They can go in and either create numbers randomly through a program, or they get lists from, you know, various people that you've probably registered with because you bought something from them at one time, or you have a service with them or something like that. Even though a lot of them tell you they will never sell your information to a third party, that is a lot of bull, because they do. They do. And that's why we get the calls. And the thing is, what's annoying about that,
It's a closed social network for neighborhoods.
oh, a closed social network for neighborhoods. Google Best of Next Door. It's useful but hilarious and full of drama. I'm still lost.
There's an app called Nextdoor, sort of like Facebook, right?
Oh.
But it's only for groups of areas in
Oh, okay. All right, we'll look for that. I'm not even going to talk about social media much today because we've already talked about that one before, and we all know the positives and the negatives about those two. Laura says it's probably a random number search. You only get 1 or 2 a year. You're lucky then, Laura, because if we have a week go by where we get anything less than 3,
what?
that's a good week. Automatic calls. First of all, you get all those ones from India that want to clean your ducks, right? We've talked about that before. But now, with the federal election happening in the fall, now you're getting the surveys that come up all the time. And what annoys me about those kind of things is you don't know who's sponsoring the survey.
She said honor cell. No, we're talking about landline.
No, landline. Yeah, that's how many we get. Although I've started to get them on the cell. I don't get as many as we get in the landline, but they're becoming more frequent than they used to be with it. And I mean, that's just a matter of time, isn't it? Because a lot of people are getting rid of their landlines because they use their cell exclusively. So it's going to hit on that too. Anyways, that's it's annoying to say the least. Now, I'm sure the positive side of the technology is on the side of people who are providing services. It saves them a lot of time. You know, it calls out, like Leon's. It's a furniture store. Lately, they've had a commercial on TV where they say, "Where did you get your furniture?" And they go, "Oh, a cute little boutique called Leon's." And they go, "You mean Leon's?" And they go, "No, Leon's." But anyways, I digress. They call you up and tell you about a sale. Well, that doesn't happen every day. So, I mean, I can forgive that. But constant bombardment, and it's usually in around when you sit down to dinner. In around 6 o'clock at night, you're just going to sit down for dinner, and the phone rings, and it's... And the thing is that bugs me about the... And here's another part about the telephone technology. Do you remember the day and age when the phone rang, we had absolutely no idea who would be on the other end of it? Why was that? Because our phones, 1, did not have a display on them. 2, we didn't have call display where it showed you the number. And when we first got that service, when they first started coming out with that, everybody thought that was wonderful. That was great. I thought we did too. Like you could see, oh, you knew exactly who was calling. And then you were getting calls from people you didn't know.
It would come up unknown caller.
Yes, unknown caller. But you could block those numbers too using technology. Now, the other ones on the other end of the line that are doing all these calls have figured out a way
They
to get around
generate
that.
a fake number.
Yeah, they
Like,
generate.
so to answer Carol, is it Carol Bode?
Carol Bode.
To answer your question, what happens is these places randomly generate a number to show up on your phone.
Yeah,
So even if you try and block that phone number, the next time they get a call from them, it's probably not that same
it's not
phone
the
number.
number. And the thing too that bugs me is, okay, we look at it, we're watching TV, the phone rings, we look at them, all it goes, it's long distance, or it's or some of them are a local area code. And I know that 9 times out of 10, it's going to be some stupid call trying to clean my ducts or get new windows in my house or replace my furnace, all that kind of stuff. But I still answer it because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, wait, maybe it is somebody that I know, and for some reason, it's not coming up with their name. And maybe it's important. Maybe it has something to do with my mother. So I answer it. And there you go. So on the one hand, the technology is great. We can see who's calling us. But now that they've worked ways around all of that, then that technology is useless to us, I think. What are people saying? I get a ton on my landline and starting on my cell. I have used up all my block this number. Okay, and
Yeah, that's where we're saying that some of these people randomly generate their phone numbers to show up. They're fake phone numbers. But you can't block them because you can only block the phone numbers that you're getting.
yeah. And actually, speaking of that, that happens on your computer with your email too. I'm sure everybody has had the scammers on that. Well, I try to block them, but they have something that randomly generates their email address, a different one. So I have got actually Bell, which is my provider, on their website. They allow you to set up a filter for junk mail. The problem with it is they only allow you to put 5 addresses in one sequence. So I have junk 1, junk 2, junk 3, all the way up to now junk 18. Because as I fill them, I create a new one. And
I don't know. What's nice is I use Gmail, right? And Gmail seems to have a really good filter on it that they can identify junk messages.
Well, maybe I should switch. But then I'd have to switch my email address, and I'm not doing that. But anyways, as I'm saying is it's just like the phones. It randomly generates. So how do you beat that? Even Gmail can't do it for all of them.
No.
And sometimes these spam things that are supposed to be on there block out things that you do want. Because, so you got to constantly check your...
Yeah, so now with technology, everybody gets these stupid phishing messages or phone calls or whatever to try and get you to put in your credit card or personal information.
Well, that's the first thing you don't do.
Yeah, I know, but how many people get scammed? There must be people out there that actually get scammed by it.
Oh yeah, well there's one that comes to me regularly from Canada Post. It looks like Canada Post, but tells me, yes, there's a package waiting for me at the post office, but I have to pay $2.99, which I can do online with my credit card. No, because what Canada Post does is if there's a parcel for you, you get a card saying there's a parcel for you and there's this amount due. And you go down to your local postal outlet and you pick it up and pay for it there. You don't pay for it online.
Jules, that's our Philips Hue lights. That's where the light show comes in.
Oh yeah, they're there. You want to see them? I think I can show them to you, since we're using this system. So there they are. So you see, of course they're run by another piece of technology, which I don't want to say her name too loud, but she whose name will go unmentioned. You know who I'm talking about, the little box that sits in the corner, and if I say her name, she's going to be activated. She's another piece of technology that's driving us lunatic. And you know, I laughed when some of you said way back that you wouldn't have one because they're listening to you and all this stuff, and I'm going, oh yeah, conspiracy theory, paranoid, wow. No, you're right. I did some research thanks to, I think it was Tracy who sent me some articles about that. And I did find out she actually is listening to you and she is transmitting what you say back to Amazon. They claim that they're using that information to make their voice recognition stuff much better. And maybe they are. But you can get a whole transcript of what you've said to her, to Miss A, you know who I'm talking about, and you pick it up on your phone through the...
Siri does it too.
And Siri does it too, yeah. So, you know, so there you go. And these personal assistants, we fight with her all the time because she has a mind of her own. We're watching something on television through like Netflix or on her Apple, and she decides that she's going to switch the stereo over to a radio station. We didn't ask her to do that. She just decides she wants to do that. So we've come down to the point now where she's actually in a switched wall outlet. And when we don't want her bothering us, we just turn the switch off and she doesn't bother us anymore. At least we still have that control out of it all. And Virginia says, yes, she who will not be unnamed. Yes. And Tracy says, I put mine in my attic. I remember you saying that. Why don't you just sell it? Garage sale, Tracy. Get some money out of it. Get some of your investment back in the attic. Because apparently she will sometimes just start to laugh for no reason.
I don't know.
We've never heard that, but people claim this. So I don't know. But yeah, so that was telephones. Other things that, the one thing though about cell phones. Okay, here's the positive thing about cell phones. They're a mini computer in our pockets. I mean, we can surf the net. We can make notes. We can read a book on it. We can check out YouTube videos. We can watch television on it. I mean, basically, it is a computer in our pocket.
It's a mini iPad.
And I think that's really cool because you think back just a few years ago, we didn't have that. I remember when they had, do you remember Palms? Palms were little black boxes that you could type things into. You could have a contact list. You could have, notes and things. I had one of those. I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, they didn't last all that long. And that's like, not that...
Or we also had separate video cameras and cameras.
Oh yeah, like, okay, you go on a vacation, and before cell phones, if you could take a laptop with you, if you had one, you could take, or your Palm, or your MP3 player, and your camera. All those electronics. Now, you travel, you only need one thing, your cell phone. It gives you all of those things and more with them.
Unless you want really fine quality photographs or something like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I usually, I find more and more that I take photographs, but I don't end up looking at them.
No, Tracy says Alexa would wake me up with sports roundup at 3 a.m. I didn't ask for that. She didn't respond. If we got the switch turned off? Alexa? No, she's there. Sorry, Laura. Yours probably just went off. Laura says, I'm watching on my phone right now. And guess what we're recording this on? My iPhone. So there you go. Tracy says, I'd ask Alexa to play Ice Cube's Who's the Mac? And she'd give me Mac makeup prices. Yeah, she's not the brightest one. I swear if Alexa had hair, don't anybody take offense to this, but she definitely would be blonde. Okay.
You are 1.41 miles, 2.27 kilometers, southwest of the center of Kedron, Ontario.
Okay, thank you for that. I didn't really want to know where my location was, but for somehow she decided she was going to give that to me right now. I didn't even say give me a location. Who knows? Anyways, there's a fine example of how Alexa screws us around. And here's one. And Laura, what?
I forgot to add club soda to that.
Oh, so we're drinking it straight up. Okay. In school, and Laura can probably talk to this because when I was retiring from school, it was just starting to become a real problem with cell phones and exams and tests. Kids could cheat. They'd have their cell phone and look things up, or texting each other in class or anything like that. Apparently, our premier is going to. Okay, anything else you want to talk about right now while you're telling us like this? Like mumble, let's have some more. Tell me some more. Yeah, you're pouring stuff in my glass. Okay, fine. That's great. That's what a good waiter should do. Or in your case, waitress. Whatever. So, Ford, our premier, he's talked about the fact he's going to ban cell phones from high schools, from schools in general. Yeah, that's not going to happen. There's no way. And Laura says, yes, oh my God, it's horrible. So I'm going to tell you a story. Oh, Laura, tell us about what's happened with you on that because you're still in the system. And while Laura's going to tell us the story, we'll just carry on here. So yeah, and now parents will put up a stink about their kids and not having cell phones in school because parents are giving their kids cell phones as a security measure to know where they are, and they can do like the GPS thing in it and know where their kid is at any point in time and day, unless the kid's smart enough to know how to disable that. Which they probably are with it all. I think that's a good thing. But, I mean, they're not going to be able to ban them from the schools. It's not going to happen. What they need to do in the schools is train the kids on what responsible use is. And that's easier said than done. I know that. But they can be trained. You get them at an early age and you make it a standard routine. The kids know when they come into school that they either have to leave their cell phone in their locker or the cell phone has to be off while they're in class, all this kind of stuff. It becomes second nature. It's like the hat rule we had in most of our schools. The kids knew as soon as they walked into the school, oh yes, you always got a few who didn't obey the rules, but you're always going to have that. They knew immediately to take off their hat. Although apparently in the Toronto School Board now that's a topic for a different topic. But apparently they're letting the kids wear whatever they want now. There's no dress codes. They can wear hats, and the girls can wear little spaghetti strap things that plunge down to here, and the boys can have their pants down to their knees. So whatever. In my day, well, yeah. So anyways, move on to things like other technology. How about TV? We've had TV since the 1920s. But
Laura just put.
Is this Laura's story? Okay, so I had 4 kids have a group chat in my class in grade 9, all boys, and one kid had it out loud instead of headphones. So I heard my name and kept looking up, and finally I took his phone, and I was, don't keep us on pins and needles, Laura, carry on. Actually, talking about if I was still a teacher, I'd embrace the technology as far as cell phones, and I'd be using it in my classroom. There's a lot of apps out there that you can use in the class for creating little pop quizzes, fun things like that with the kids. You can, they can take notes on it. They can do all kinds of things. I mean, don't fight the technology. Use it in schools, but train the kids how to use it responsibly. I mean, we had the same problem when they introduced computers in the school. Way back when, I'm dating myself, I'll never forget when we got the first Commodore 64 in the school I was teaching in. We were all in awe, and we had a couple of what they call pet computers, if you know what those were. We've come a long way since that, baby. Laura hasn't finished the story yet, so it'll be coming, I'm sure. But anyways, let's talk about TV. Old technology. Really, I mean, none of us. And I was turning the phone down, and I saw what they said, and it said that I was THICC, meaning I had a nice ass. Okay, and was looking at the kid before I took his phone because I wanted to blow him. Okay. This is what the kids were saying and making. I take it. Yes. Okay. All right. That's definitely the negative side of cell phones with kids, for sure. Things like that. Well, you know what it is? It's the 21st century version of passing notes. Because kids always pass notes in school. And then, of course, as a teacher, you have to stand there and go, okay, what's that? Nothing. Give it to me. No, I want it now. I want it now or eat it. Half the time they'd eat it. But I want to see what's there. And then, of course, reading it out loud and then sending them down to the office and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, this is just the new method of that. Kids will be kids, little assholes. At times. I say that with great endearment. No, I don't. So television. Back to television. Do you remember the day and age, and we all grew up with television. We are all of probably the generations that have never been without television in their life.
I took screen caps of it and took it to the office, and they got suspended.
And the one who texted those words, his father drove over his phone. Oh. Now there's good parenting. I like that. The only thing that would have beat that is if he drove over the kid. I'd be all for that. That's a pretty good story, really. So television, third time back here on this. We all grew up with it, but I'm sure we all remember a time when we only had antennas, and we only probably could get 3 stations, and 2 of them were fuzzy with that. And we still thought that was high tech. I remember as a kid so much wanting to have my own TV. But of course, in those days, TVs were very expensive. And then they came out with the little portable jobs, and like you couldn't see anything on them. And I did eventually get a little tiny portable one and had one of those little hoop antennas on the back of it. And it still only picked up like 1 station, and it was fuzzy out of all that. But then slowly we got more advanced. We got cable. And suddenly we had, 15 different channels that were all clear. Of course, we had to pay for that. And we had remote controls for it. My first remote control for my television set was a wired remote control. Walter bought it for me. You plugged it into the cable box or whatever we had in those days, and it had little push buttons for the channels.
Yeah, VHF and UHF.
Yeah. And so you had to push the buttons on it to get the channels, and it had a long cord on it that plugged into something in the TV at the time. But boy, I remember when I got that, this is cool. So I ran the long wire underneath my carpet and up by the Chesterfield, and I had it on the arm and I could push the buttons, and I thought that was really cool. So look where we are today. Now, I mean, smart televisions, they do everything a computer does and more. You can have she whose name will not be spoken actually turn it on for you and find stations, supposedly, if you've got the right equipment. I don't know. We don't even have knobs or buttons on our televisions much anymore. And with any buttons we have, they're hidden on them. You have to use the remote control. You're screwed if you lose your remote control.
Well, actually, on the new TV set, I haven't used it yet, but there's one button in the back, and it's supposed to be able to do all kinds of things. But it's one button as a toggle or something.
Oh.
I haven't used it yet, though.
Yeah. It's raining. Coming down good. Okay. And then Laura says, me too. And his mom made him write me an apology letter. Pracy says, my uncle had a remote TV with wire and 4 buttons. Yeah, it was very much like the one I had. I think I had more than 4 buttons, though. Pracy also says, I have a 3D smart TV, and I never use the 3D or the smart TV. Yeah, we have a 3D television, too. It's got special glasses that you have to charge up and wear, and we've had that TV now for quite a few years, and
We have stopped using the 3D.
we haven't used the 3D in years.
No, I
on
haven't
it.
used the 3D. And it was supposed to be smart at one time, but half the applications don't work on it anymore because it's too old.
It's brain dead.
Yeah. So it's not so smart anymore.
Not so smart.
But, like, for instance, we bought a fairly new TV recently, and its setup was a little bit
Difficult.
difficult because, part of the reason is I'm kind of picky too, is the colors were really off on it when I first set it up, and it took me a few times to try and figure out how to set up the colors the way I liked them. Right now, I've read other reviews on this particular TV, and other people have said, "Oh, the colors are terrible on it," and all this other stuff. But the problem is that you haven't been able to take the time to set it up properly, or they just don't know. And there's a lot of people around that do not understand the technology that much and have trouble manipulating that stuff. Like, I read a review on there. Well, my son had to set it up for me because I really don't know how to operate something like this, right? Or somebody else might have gotten it and they just can't figure out how to use it because there's too much stuff on it that's high technology, and that if you're out of the loop, you're screwed.
And nobody uses all of that technology on there. I don't think I've ever met anybody that has used probably more than 50% of the options and features that come on their smart TV. They probably don't even realize some of those things are available. I'm not even sure what's available on this new OLED television that we
Well,
have
actually,
now.
I don't use the smart functions. We have it hooked up to an Apple box, and we use the Apple box as a smart function.
But there's the other problem. In the old days, TV was easy. You turned it on, you turned the dial to the channel you want, and you hoped it came in relatively clear. Now, just where I look off to the side over here, we have the TV on the wall. That's a, what size is that?
55 inch.
55-inch OLED TV. Pretty much state of the art in consumer televisions at the moment. We have got a stereo, a receiver. I always call them stereos because that's the old days. You know, you had a stereo because it had a record player on the top and it played a cassette tape if you got a deluxe one or an 8-track, and you had a radio and it had 2 speakers, stereo. Now we have a receiver that has various modes on it that you have to figure out what device it's connecting to. We have, how many speakers do we have in this room? 7?
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 speakers in this room for that surround sound kind of thing, you know? We used to think stereo was cool because some things would come out of one side of a speaker and some would come out of the other side of the speaker. Now it's all
No, we
around
have
you.
6. It's 5.1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 6. You're right. I forgot. There's not one on the other side.
It's
Okay.
5.1.
Okay, so if I've got 6 speakers, why is it 5.1?
It's 5 speakers and 1 subwoofer.
So it's 6 speakers.
Yeah.
Just one does something a little different. There you go. That's why people have
Jules
trouble.
says I still have an 8-track.
I've got one in my crawl
Does
space.
it work?
Yeah, does it still work? Tapes haven't seized up on you. So now we also have attached to this receiver and this TV, we have an Apple TV. We have an Android box as well, which allows us sometimes to kind of get stuff that if you don't, you know,
If we don't subscribe to
don't
it.
subscribe to it, you can still sort of get it. But and I say sort of because it's a pain in the ass trying to get something on it. We have 2 of those.
We try not to use it.
Yeah. We have that just in this room. In the bedroom, we have another, what's that, a 40-inch, 44-inch?
42.
42-inch LED.
No, L plasma.
What, the one in the bedroom's plasma?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that was plasma. Okay, anyways, plasma. We have a DVD player. We don't watch DVDs anymore.
No.
We have another Apple TV in there, and we don't have the Android box there anymore. So, in our basement, we have got, in our rec room, a 65-inch plasma TV, which is 3D. We have, how many speakers down there?
That's 7.1.
Oh,
So
7.1, so it's 8
speakers.
speakers down there. We have another Apple TV down there. We have another Android box down there. Oh, and I have a TV in my sewing room, and which is hooked to my computer, and I have a TV in my craft room, which is hooked to my computer and hooked up to another one of the wireless receiving
Of
boxes
course,
for the
I
cable.
have a TV in my bedroom too.
Oh, that's right.
In my office that I use as a monitor for my computer.
How many TVs do 2 people need? That many. Yeah, it's wall-to-wall TV. You know, you never miss your show running from one room to the next. You have them all on at the same time. Never do, but there you go. And with that comes remote controls. Every one of these little pieces of technology, every one of these little boxes has its own remote control. The one in the basement, we have a universal type of remote control
That isn't quite all that universal because there's some stuff that we still have to use a remote control for.
Mhm. You should see what's on our coffee table down in our rec room. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, 5 anyways, remote controls. And then the universal, which you would think would cover all those, but it doesn't necessarily do everything you want. So no wonder you go nuts trying to turn on a TV. I mean, you want to watch something at night, something a little special, plan ahead so you know which buttons to push before you get there. Let's see, what's a 8-track? Jules says I have the screen freeze for just a few seconds about 5 times now.
Oh, no, we didn't freeze.
Well, we didn't freeze, so not sure what that's about. I would say that's probably a problem at your end, but maybe it'll clear up, we hope. Either way, I can't do anything about it. That's beyond our control. There you go. Prime, remember all the freeze up problems we were having? We still don't know to this day whose problem that was. Whether it was ours, it was our equipment, or was it going through because of our internet provider, or because of YouTube? No idea.
Okay, now here comes an interesting question. What will ever happen if for some reason something happened and all of the internet goes down and all of the technology goes down? Everybody would be mass chaos.
We're screwed, because you think of everything that depends upon the internet now. You go to a store to buy something. 9 times out of 10, you're doing it electronically. I mean, some stores are forcing you to not pay with cash. Walmart in our area is one for that. They close down all their checkouts with human beings on, except for a couple. And then in those ones, they have like 1 or 2 people. And then everything else is kiosks, self-scanning and the whole bit. And those ones at this particular Walmart, they don't take cash. You have to use either a credit card or a debit card to pay for anything. So even if something as simple as a power outage, you're screwed. They're screwed at the store because they can't handle transactions. They can't do it.
Or if the internet itself goes down, everything goes through the internet, even banking transactions and everything. A lot of people think, I can't do online banking because it's going through the internet. But even the banking terminals are going through the internet. So all of that would go down. It would be mass chaos. And even banking, and then you still wouldn't be able to go in and see a teller to get money because the tellers are all controlled by their computer terminals as well. So they wouldn't be able to do anything either if the bank, you wouldn't be able to use banking machines, but you wouldn't be able to use the teller either because they can't use any of that. You wouldn't be able to do any transactions anywhere in the store because they can't handle it if the internet's not available or if the power's not on.
And your phone can go down too, and you can't use that. Now, it's not dependent so much on the internet, but it's dependent upon 3G, 4G, and now they're talking 5G.
However, that is all part of the internet.
But yeah, it still has its connections with it too. So we'd be completely like back in the dark ages without that. Now, just as an aside here, Jules says that B&D had the same problem. It was freezing up. So it looks like B&D have left. She says, we'll try to join in another time by. But that is just an aside here. What we're seeing what you see right now in real time. So it hasn't frozen up, knock wood on us. So the problem isn't at our end, it's probably in the in-betweens. So whatever your provider, however they connect, that moves to get to our provider or however else, that's where the problem lies. And there we go, we're completely helpless. And that's what we're talking about here, how technology makes us...
In fact, when everyone from this northern...
What are you doing?
I'm trying to
start
read.
A sentence and then you...
I'm trying to read. Hello, Stephen and Walter, everyone from this northern hell.
I don't know who...
Meliard.
Yeah, okay, what? Hello, Steve and Walter and everyone from this northern hell. It's burning hot weather here, even now, middle of the night. Oh, in Finland, yeah, Europe's having quite the heat wave, I guess. There.
It's warm here, but it's not
as warm as they're getting. Catherine says a Target in my area shut down for a day because their computers went down. And in Virginia says, remember Y2K? Yeah, that didn't happen though, did it? And Laura says a large solar flare would wipe it all out. Yeah.
Remember when your dad? When was your dad? What year was that when your dad retired?
Oh, I don't remember the year. That's a long time ago.
33C. That's not that hot.
33C. That isn't hot, Mel. Like it's warm, yeah, very warm, but that's not like when we were in Australia up in Cairns and that we were hitting 40, 41 degrees C. And that seemed to be like pretty normal up there. But anyways, I suppose in Finland though, Yeah, I can see how that might be a little warm for you guys.
The Laura says hot for them. Yeah, probably. I guess it's perspective.
Well, it would be hot. It's hot
Well,
for
it
us
also
too.
depends on, do you have any air conditioning anywhere?
Oh, yeah. That would make a difference too.
I
with that.
mean, we have a house that's air conditioned.
Yeah. So more technology there as well. Because our air conditioner, heating system are all run by a computerized system that you can program and put certain times in for when you want things to go on and go off and everything like that and read it. So again, computer technology.
And not only that, the air conditioner and the furnace have circuit boards in them.
Yeah. So, you have a big surge on power, you can burn that out. So, anyways, yeah, TV technology is something that it was really probably TV technology that got the whole, like, technological devices in people's homes geared us up to one thing to the next because.
Well, actually, I think it was more computers. I think computers, when I started working, computers were huge. And then they started into PCs, and when they kept on miniaturizing things, and it got to the point where it became more miniature, that's when it all started becoming much more technology integrated.
Tracy says a friend of hers in Hawaii said she had to put on a sweater because it was getting cold. She said it was 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, well, it's whatever you're used
That's
to,
what
I
it's
guess.
like in Australia.
Yeah. So, anyways, so TVs are something too. Now, security systems. Those things are really popular now. We have 3 cameras in our house. They were meant, I've told you this before, we originally got them because we called them the kitty cams. When we had Cleo, when she was still around, we'd go on holidays. We set up the cameras so we could just see her. Not that we could do anything for her, but it was kind of peace of mind for that kind of thing. Now, our security cameras do not automatically record if somebody moves in the house or whatever. They can, but they're not set up. They're not made to store a lot of that information for great lengths of time, not like the kind of security cameras they would have in stores and things like that. But they've become more and more popular and smaller, and now people can have like nanny cams, they call it, or wives who think their husbands are cheating on them can attach things to their cars and stuff to track them and see what they're doing and things like that. It's kind of scary, the whole surveillance industry. But even our alarm system, we had it upgraded a couple of years ago. If anything goes off in our house, if someone comes in or disarms or arms the security, we'll get a thing on our cell phone about it. That's how we keep tabs on our cleaning lady. When we leave, she's not here, and when we want to know when she arrives, I have an email that says when she disarmed the burglar alarm system. And when she leaves, it tells us when she set it up. So I know exactly how long the cleaning lady's been here. And I can check on her too through the kitty cams. Now people have them so they're on their doorbells and things like that to check who's at the door. We don't have one of those ones. Although I've often thought that would be kind of cool to have one. But we don't get a lot of people coming to our doors because they all do it through their telephones and computer stuff now. So they don't come door to door.
That's a sweet
Oh, hi, Roy. He says, oh, oops, been sitting here snacking on brie and apples and forgot to say hello. Hello, boys. Hi, Roy. And Andy says, we'll all be at the mercy of hackers. Oh, yeah, we already are. And Mel says, Walter looks great today. Black suits you so well, your color. You gotta see him close up, though.
I got a haircut too.
I joke. Maybe. Okay, so let's talk about cars. Because cars are full of technology. Walter has this annoying little sensor that goes off on his car all the time. It tells him that apparently one of the tires is low in air, in pressure.
It may be off by 1 pound.
And it warns you about that.
And then I have a hard time getting all the tires up to the exact correct poundage to be exactly the same and get the stupid sensor to go off.
And this is the problem. Cars, my car is an older car. It doesn't have that as much computer technology in it as his does. But there's still enough. Like it tells me when it's time to get my oil changed, and also puts up a little thing that I have to tell them about what kind of service they're going to give me, like brakes need to be redone or something like that. On the one hand, that's really useful, I think. On the other hand, I think that's a bit of a ploy by the manufacturers of the cars for you to service your car on a more regular basis when it maybe doesn't need it. And the reason I say that is because I get an oil change approximately every, I think it's about 12,000 kilometers. It's recommended. So that's how the thing is set up. Thing is, it's based upon your mileage. I don't drive my car that much. So it will actually be 2 years before I get my oil changed in my car. One, I have synthetic oil, which lasts longer. And two, I don't drive it enough.
Yeah, and they try to say that you should have it changed if it's 12,000 kilometers or 12 months or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling that's just 12,012 or 12 months, so that you still get in and make your oil change.
Yeah. Well, they get uptight with me because I'll get things in the mail from them telling me, it's been a while since your last oil change. Give us a call to make an appointment. No, my thing says that my oil is still at 60%. Until it drops to 15%, I'm not supposed to take it in. And they told me that. That's not me making up that rule.
Now they've changed their tune.
Yeah. My car before this one did not have any of this kind of stuff on it. I used to take my car in every 4 times a year for an oil change, like clockwork. So when I got the new car and it came down and it said 40% life left on the oil, I thought, ooh, well, maybe I better take it in. So I took it in. The guy looked at it, he says, no, he says, it's only at 40%. You don't need to bring this in until it says 15%. And he says, in fact, he says, you've got synthetic oil. He says, no, that'll just screw everything up if you get your oil changed now. So that's what they told me. That's what I go by. Of course, then you said, what are they doing now?
Now they're saying you have to have it within 12,000 kilometers or 12 months or something like that.
Guess what? My car is a 2008, so it's 11 years old, going on 12 years old. Knockwood, runs fine. I only change the oil when the thing comes in and tells me to change the oil. So screw them.
Says I work in technology and apps every day, and every day I hate it more and more. Yes, I know I worked in technology. I don't want to have any new devices for my home.
But there's something that the technology gets us to, okay? I love technology. You know this. I mean, everything I own everything everybody owns has got technology in it. Look at your kitchen. We have 2 microwaves in the kitchen. We have a blender. We have a toaster oven. We have the stove, oven, the refrigerator. Every one of those appliances has got computer chips in it. Our coffee maker. We have 3 coffee makers. Don't ask why. One of them has a program in it. It comes on at 7:30 in the morning, turns itself off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Every day. Don't have to think about it. In fact, if we have a power failure, then I have to reset that with it, which I find very annoying that I have to do that. What happened to the days when you used to, get out the jar, put the granulized stuff into the cup and poured hot water on it that you boil in the tea kettle?
Well, since we got the thing that goes by a name that starts with A,
she who will not be named.
She who will not be named. And supposedly she can control all kinds of stuff. Well, we have Hue lights that can be controlled, and we've had all kinds of problems trying to get her to control those lights. Supposedly she can control an electronic thermostat and all this other stuff. At first I thought, let's go out and buy one of those. Now I'm thinking, no, don't really want to do that. I don't want to lose control.
No. Andy says, I think technology is making us all lazy. Yeah, I think so. But to go back to the comment that Mel says she doesn't want about new devices. I understand that, but then I'm afraid that if I don't keep up with the technology, that I'm going to be like those old people in the nursing home or like my mother, who can barely run a telephone, let alone, she would never know. If you gave her a laptop, she wouldn't know what to do with it or how to use it, and she wouldn't want to, and the whole bit. Mind you, maybe it keeps people saner, the less electronic devices that they have, the less computer technology, because every time you get a new toy, you've got to learn how to use it. And now they don't have manuals that explain that to you very well. First of all, if you're lucky, you might get a fast start guide, which is like one piece of paper, says plug it in, hit the power button. Yay, you're operational. But go to our website and you can download the PDF manual, which is like 350 bloody pages long, like that new receiver you got.
Yeah.
That was over 300 pages,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Holy crap. That's a novel.
And it has a lot of things on it that I don't use because there's a lot of things I don't need. And then there's also I was reading reviews on the TV, and the big complaint was, well, it doesn't come with any instructions. No, it doesn't. Actually, it has an online help on the TV, online manual on the TV that you can access. And if you don't know how to use technology, then you can't figure out how to get to that online.
You see, I've always prided myself on keeping up on technology, but there are times when, like, I don't know how to run the receiver that Walter's got. Well, it's not because I couldn't learn. I could learn, but there's a couple of reasons I don't. One, it's Walter's. He gets upset if you touch his toys. Okay? He doesn't play well in the sandbox with other people. Two, if I do screw it up, I'm going to get yelled at, and I'm going to get told that I shouldn't have touched that. In fact, I get yelled at anyways when I don't do anything, because it's, in Walter's case, because it's a Dutch thing. It's everybody else's problem except his.
He still has a CB radio.
Oh, I wanted one of those when I was a kid.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, I thought that was the height of technology, to have a CB radio when I was like 15 years old. Like, I knew a guy who had one, and I was just absolutely fascinated with it, and I tried to get one. My parents wouldn't let me have one.
Actually, there's an interesting, somebody said companies require you to download stuff and assume everybody knows enough to be able to do it, right? Or to troubleshoot. And yeah, that's true, because there's a lot of people that just either don't know or don't have the technology. The other thing is, something kind of reminded me of that quite a few years ago now. I was in a camera store buying a camera before I had a cell phone. And there's a lady that went out and bought an elaborate, what do you call it? An SLR, which is like a
digital camera,
reflex digital camera, right? So the big cameras, and it came with a CD to, I guess, for her to help capture or help her use the camera. And one of the sales, she said to the salesperson, well, why would I need that for? Right? And basically it was your manual.
Yeah, they were doing that for a while. They were putting the manuals on CD. Now, if you buy a new computer, if you buy a middle of the range or low end laptop, you don't have a DVD player or CD player on it. So you can't do that. And you don't really need to, because you can get a manual for old technology and new technology pretty much all online. But you have to know where you're going, and you have to know how you can download that and what programs you need to be able to read it. Most of them are in PDF file format, and that's become pretty much a standard now. But there are still some people out there that don't have any idea what Adobe Reader is, although it's on your computer when you get a new computer pretty much anymore. But there are people who don't know how to do that. And just backing up here to what people are saying. Mel says, my work keeps me in technology and learning every day. I mean, my free time. Don't want to spend my time playing with technology. So many other things I'd rather do and enjoy. Yeah, I get it. I'm playing with some technology right now. I have an old laptop that I want to use because I'm secretary of the Quilting Guild, and I want to use that to take the minutes. The person who did it before was doing it all by hand. Okay, how last century? Really. Plus, I would never be able to read my own handwriting on top of it. But I have a problem. It's an older laptop. It works fine, but the battery drains really fast on it. Now, I've had that laptop for quite a while. So I went online, Amazon, and I bought a new replacement battery for it. And that works fine, but you still, because of the technology, the time that this old computer came out, laptop, it's hard on a battery. So it's only going to give me about 2.5 hours. I've been timing it on a battery. So I said to Walter, wasn't there a way at one time you could put your computer into suspension, change your battery, and it would pick up where you left off? His immediate answer was, no, I don't think that works. Okay, but I don't like being told something can't work when I get an idea. So I went online and learned, yes, you can put it into hibernate mode, and yes, it does do that, and yes, I tested it, and yes, I can do that. So I have 2 batteries for it. They'll both be fully charged. I'll probably only need 1 battery when I go to these meetings, but I've got a second one there, and I can change it around. But I had to learn how to do that. And the way I learn how to use technology is because I start with the what if phrase. Well, what if you could do this or whatnot? And that's where technology is really good. I don't have to run to a library. I can go on the internet and put in my question. What if I did this? And I usually find answers for it. That's not something you used to be able to do when you walked into a library because you had to know how to use the card catalog, if you remember those days, or microfiches, if you remember those days, and then locate books. Then you had to figure out how to find the information in the book because you had to know how to use indexes and table of contents and all that kind of stuff. Those are actually skills we used to teach in school back in the dark ages before technology was there. Now, I don't know, libraries are for people who still like books, I guess. And most libraries have banks and banks of computers, and their whole card catalog system is online, and you don't even need to go to the library to see if there is a resource that you want. You can go online from home, and you can even book the resource, have it signed out, and in some communities' cases, in some libraries, they'll deliver it to you, like Amazon. So there you go. I don't think that's really a bad thing. The only thing is that you could actually isolate yourself in your house and never go out because you can do everything through a computer now and have it all delivered to you. So you can just be a hermit. Lay around all day naked and, just answer your door when somebody's got a package. Catherine says, my daughter bought me a new car for my birthday in February. What a nice daughter. We should get one of those. To replace my 19-year-old car. I had to go to a dealership to learn how to operate it. Yes, I remember when I got the car I'm driving now, they did sit down with me and give me some basic instructions on the little gizmos that I had. And I didn't have anything near as sophisticated as what Walter has in his car. And I'm still waiting for them to perfect automatically driving cars, because then it'll be Miss Daisy. I'll be sitting in the back and just let the car take me wherever and park itself and do all that kind of stuff. And, that's not too far down the road, is it? Well, it already exists.
Presley
But
says, where are we going?
what? Are you trying to read something?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. What are you doing?
There's Melior.
The only high tech Andy says I enjoy is my DSLR. And Kat says, I read the entire 500-page plus operator's manual. And Percy says, Stephen, my mom has a computer at her apartment. I guarantee it's got viruses, pop-ups, and ads because she's tech illiterate. Yeah, you want to know something that's amazing, though, Percy? Your mom, and I don't imagine your mother is really a young lady. She's probably older than my mother. At least your mother is trying it. There are lots of older people out there that just say, oh, I can never learn that. And that, to me, is an attitude thing. I mean, we've been talking about the negative aspects of technology more so than the positive. But the bottom line is, we're stuck with it. Nothing like short of a solar flare, as Laura said, is going to eliminate the technology. And it's just going to keep going and going and going. And now they're even talking about implants in your brain for working with AI devices. And that's not science fiction anymore. They've actually have it, and they actually do it with people who are disabled and things like that. They'll just expand that. And then that's going to be kind of scary. It's going to make Orwell's 1984 look like a children's story with what the things they can do and are doing with us right now with technology. But we can handle it in one of two ways. We can either embrace the technology and get out of it what we want out of it for ourselves, what we're comfortable with. If it fulfills our needs, then use it for that. The negative part of technology is that we get so overwhelmed with it that we shut down, or we just take our little device that has the name of which we will not speak and lock it in an attic somewhere. And I'm just using Precy's idea for way of handling the whole Alexa thing. Nope, the bitch didn't hear me good. Not Precy, I meant, the box. Let's see. Jill says, I got a manual for my Singer treadle sewing machine. Yeah, you can get manuals for almost everything online. Yeah, you may have to hunt, but Kath says, I posted note pages with questions. The technician said he never knew anyone who read the entire owner's manual. He asked if he could photograph my marked manual. Yeah, probably because you found things in that he didn't know were in there, too.
I'm guilty of that, too.
I
tend to read. I read the whole 300-page manual to the receiver, too. Now, mind you, I skipped over parts that I figured it wasn't pertinent to me, but I did go through it.
My attitude towards manuals are on a need-to-know basis. If I go, I wonder if it can do this, how do I do that? And after I've pressed several buttons and screwed it up, then I'll go to the manual and see if I can figure it out.
Well, I'll start with that, and then I'll go back to the manual and see how I was supposed to do it.
Precy says, with all this tech, it still takes 5 hours to self-clean your oven. Ours only takes 3.5. But yeah, you're right. And you got to prep it, at least on ours. You got to take the bottom drawer out, empty it of anything that's in there. You got to take your racks out, and then you shouldn't have anything near the edges of it or whatever, because this sucker goes up. It's like a crematorium, apparently. And then it locks itself down, and this thing is generating heat. Walter won't let me use it very often.
Well,
He says, oh, it's too hot.
When you decide to self-clean the oven in the middle of the summer.
Well, when you cooked, you didn't have things run over, and
I don't have that problem.
No, because you don't cook. Yeah, well, yes, you do cook. Anyways, Mel says this development is not good in the long run. For example, cars are so full of technology that normal car maintenance cannot do anything without expensive technology, and customer pays big bills again. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it used to be when I was young, my dad used to be able to just fix his car himself and stuff. And now with all the new technology, you can't do it without monitors.
No. And Bootsy says, and it's funny, it's actually kind of serious. He says, my family wants to put a chip in my head so they can find me when I get lost. We do it with animals. They've got those chips that they'll inject into an animal under their skin, and if the animal gets lost, they can track it. So
maybe they should be doing that to everybody, and then when somebody murders somebody, they can find them.
Yeah, well, don't think this won't happen.
Well, actually, I still think that a lot of times criminals are caught these days, stupid criminals are caught these days, because cops can find them through their cell phones because they have GPSs in them.
Yeah, so apparently they can just tap into that and figure out where you are. Well, these guys either don't have cell phones with them or know how to turn that feature off.
Well, they're up in Gimli, Manitoba.
Of course, there's probably no...
there's no cell phone service.
It's Gillen, isn't it?
Gillen.
And Catherine says, my sister's cell phone reports her implanted heart monitor to her doc on a daily basis. Well, you see, there's a positive thing about these kind of things. I do really believe that in a few more years, it will be common practice to have the option to have a chip, a microchip, placed in somewhere in your body so that people can track you. Like, think about kids. If you could put one of those in a kid, well, you can put it in a kid now. If you can put it in an animal, you can put it in a kid. You can put it into anything that's living. They could find your kids if they go missing or wandering off or whatever. I think I want to upgrade it though, so that when they're doing something that I don't like, I can press a button and shock them. I mean, win-win on that one. Beats having to carry around a cattle prod with you. What else is here? Oh my God, Priest says, my butter in my butter dish became liquid near my oven. Oh, is that when you were self-cleaning it? Well, it's not just your butter that'll melt if you get too close to it. Kath says, my car has so many computers that if I have an accident, I was told it's best to just get rid of the car.
Yeah, well, actually, I had gotten one of those things from the insurance company one time that you plug into that port in your car, and it tracks how many times you hard brake and how many times you sped and all this other stuff.
It didn't seem, though, to guess how many times you run a yellow.
But I seem to have a better driving record.
Oh, yeah. So that thing is probably completely unreliable with it. Yeah, Mel says, soon Big Brother's watching everything. Big Brother's already watching everything.
I think so.
Has been for years. Everybody in this country has a social insurance number. That
and
number,
I think it tracks everybody.
It tracks everything. Yeah. So,
I mean, even you log. Okay, let's say you log into the computer and you surf the internet and stuff like that. A lot of the ones that do child pornography and all this other stuff think that if they take out an anonymous email address, that people can't track them, right? And that's a fallacy because they have. I mean, maybe the average person can't, but law enforcement can track anybody's IP address right down to finding them and convicting them of things like child pornography.
Yeah, well, unless you're using a VPN, but there's probably ways to track VPNs
yeah,
too.
I think there's a way around VPNs.
It's probably more complicated. But basically you leave a digital trail of wherever you've gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't believe me? Next time you're on the internet, look at what the ads are that pop up on your computer. They're custom to you. It's based on your demographic. It's based on where you've been before. Because there's things in your computer called cookies. And unless you get rid of the cookies on a regular basis, they're laying in the background and they know lots of things about you. They're tracing your buying history. That's why Amazon comes up all the time. Every day I get, Stephen, here are some things on Amazon we think you might be interested in. In fact, Amazon actually puts it straightforward and goes, because you bought this, here are some items that are related to this that we thought you might be interested in as well. Pinterest does it. I just recently got back on Pinterest and I don't know why, because I want to get back off it because I forgot how annoying it is. Every day it throws up all of these pins on things because I may have looked at somebody's scrapbook page or I looked at Christmas decorations or something. Now every day I get all this stuff showing, oh, here's all this. They just bombard you with all this information. It makes watching television commercials a joy, really, in this time and age. We used to get all annoyed at ads when we weren't able to do the fast forward, and we can't do the fast forward anymore. On demand, on your TV, that you will still get shortened versions of commercials through that, and you can't skip through them. They got wise that. Even on YouTube, if you watch, there are some ads that will come up on some YouTube sites that you cannot skip. You have to watch the whole ad. Mind you, they've kept those down to about 10 to 15 seconds in length.
Wasn't there one recently that you were watching and it was like a 2-minute ad that you had to...
It wasn't 2 minutes. It was 40 minutes. It was a show within a show. Some chick is selling makeup, but it's her YouTube channel, but for somehow she's gotten it as an ad. But the ad is like 30 to 40 minutes long. Now, luckily, you can skip out of it. Well, first of all, if you couldn't skip out of it, well, bye-bye. I'd unsubscribe from whoever's YouTube channel is. But as YouTube providers, we have no control over that. The only control we have if we have ads on our site, is to say where they will be placed. We can put it so that the ad will just be random throughout, and the longer your video, the more of those you're going to get. Or you can have it so that it's a skippable ad, meaning that, how you get the little things to skip, it'll come up. You can also make them so they're not skippable. Some people put them near the end of their YouTube, and other ones, like I said, they're randomly dispersed, so you never know. So you do have some control over that, but if you want to be monetized, that's the price you pay, that you're still going to have ads in one form or another on it. There's technology, because they're selling stuff. That's why YouTube is free for now. Mel says, no ads in my YouTube at all. Ad block plus takes care of it really well. Yeah, I'm not that sure about ad block. I think if you go through Google to watch YouTube, I think it works with that. If you go to YouTube directly, well, you have to still do it through a browser. See, if you do, well, it's hit and miss too on Apple TV, because at one point I thought you didn't get any ads with Apple TV, but you do get them. So I don't know. I've never really figured that all out yet, how that all works. Yeah, but there you go. Why should we have to have ad blockers? More technology. Technology to avoid technology. Whatever. So anyways, yeah, I guess we've already talked about the fact we have no privacy. And yeah, so I'm sure we could go on for days, but if time is just about up. Mel says, I always go directly, no ads at all. Yep, whatever it takes to avoid it. Sometimes I don't mind the ads though. Sometimes the ads are kind of interesting, but whatever. So that's technology. It gives us all a big headache, but we can't avoid it, I guess. We have to learn to live with it, and we have to learn how to adapt. And I think the bottom line is, I think a lot of people feel they no longer have control. Technology has taken control. They are still just stupid machines. And although they may seem intelligent to us, there's always one thing you can always do with technology. Unplug it. I'm unplugged from Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook in 4 weeks. Can't get on it anymore. Don't miss it. In fact, till I just mentioned that now, I'd forgotten all about the fact I don't use Facebook. That's how much of a difference it made in my life.
And I find that I'm not using it as much as I used to.
So there you go. We still have control if we want it. For now. Once they get those chips in our head, though, I don't know how much control we're going to have. So anyways, that brings us pretty much to the end today. I was going to mention a couple of things about what we're watching. I'm watching an interesting show that's been on for a while. It's on Netflix. It's called Shadowhunters. If you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of thing, you would like that. There's a really good show, but you can't get it on Netflix. You can't get it on Prime. If you have, I don't know if it's FX or is it something else. I'm not sure what station it is. It's called Pose. It's been on for a couple of seasons now. It's up for an Emmy. It's really quite good. It's about what they call the ball culture that was big in the 90s, late 80s and the 90s in New York and whatnot. And it's actually where Madonna got the idea for creating the song Vogue. In fact, if you watch some of this, you will understand where voguing came from. But it's kind of interesting and kind of into it. Walter bought DVDs of more Tales of the City, so we've been working our way through those. And I just saw a brand new one on Prime that's really kind of, it's a dark, I watched the first episode before we went on air, called The Boys. And it's kind of interesting. It's about superheroes, but the superheroes are really kind of in it for the money. And it's a dark comedy kind of a thing. So, I don't know. I've only seen the first episode, so we'll see how that goes. And nothing new on YouTube.
Yeah, and I started watching this show that just came out on Netflix called Another Life.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a sci-fi thing. I would say skip it and go to another show. Because it's not good. It's not, I don't find it's very entertaining. I think and the writing on it's really bad.
And Tracy says, I'm watching a lot of late night YouTube live channels. All the nuts are on live at late night. Didn't know that. Maybe that's something to explore, except that's past my bedtime.
Why Women Kill, starting August 14th and 15th on NBC. Actually, yeah, I saw that. That sounded kind of interesting.
Referred to as the new Desperate Housewives type show.
Yeah, it kill their husbands, I think.
Oh. Okay. That might be kind of interesting too. Yeah, so what's cooking? Flat chicken. Walter's making a flat chicken. Actually, the technical name for it is what? The English call spatchcock, which is, I think, is a British term for it. Basically, it looks like your chicken's been hit by transport. It's all splayed out. Walter removes his little backbone when he buys a whole chicken, and so they just lay there all spread out. And
it's easier to grill.
It's easier to grill, yeah. And what's coming up? We have a long weekend next weekend, although every weekend's long for us. It's the August 1st weekend, even though August 1st does not fall on the weekend.
Civic holiday.
Call it a civic holiday. Why we have it, I have no idea. But it's a holiday.
Excuse for a long weekend in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, and it's Caribbean Festival in downtown Toronto, and you want to stay away from that. And that, I'm not getting into that one because there are so many things that are wrong about it that I would just get crucified if I start mentioning them on here, because they would result to me being racist and everything else, and I'm not getting into those discussions, okay? Okay, so that's it. Next week's topic. I was looking, some of you made some suggestions, and one of the suggestions that came up was, and I'd forgotten about this, about the healthcare system. Because I think everybody around in the world thinks Canada has a wonderful healthcare system compared to their own countries. And yes, in some cases we do. But I thought maybe next week we'll talk about that, compare it. I know that the Americans are really split on the whole idea of universal healthcare like we have, as opposed to private healthcare and things like that. And it's interesting to know what other countries have as well, and how you manipulate your way around it, because although we have a fairly good healthcare system, we have an awful lot of flaws in it. And I just experienced one of those yesterday, or Friday. So we'll talk maybe next week about healthcare. And so bring your ideas and share your thoughts about whether or not, one, are all people entitled to healthcare free of charge? Or do you think the private system is better, or is it a combination of the two? Or when is it that we should pay for something and when is it we shouldn't pay for something? So some thoughts to think about over the next week. Chris says would be interesting to compare. Yes, that's kind of what I'm thinking about here. So anyways, that'll be next week. Tomorrow my vlog will be up at some point. Check out the latest, if you're interested in haul videos, check out my latest Idiot Quilter on what I bought yesterday. And have a good Sunday, or if you're in Australia, have a good Monday, and we'll see everybody next week. So say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye, Walter.
Oh, you're so funny, Nat.